The first time I saw the DB11, I wasn't moved. In my eyes, Aston Martin was a purist company, who by and large got away with putting form over function, because their form was that good. The DB11, however, was anything but pure. It had turbos, modern aggressive lines, a navigation system that actually worked, with maps that don't look like they were drawn by 6-year-olds. However, I've concluded that you have to approach new cars like you approach new albums. You can't really have an opinion until you've listened to it at least 3 times. Unless it's a Drake album. You should only listen to those when your ex posts a new picture of her new boo and you want to Marvin's room her ass. But generally speaking, by the 3rd listen, your initial opinion will usually have changed. To me, the DB11 is one of the best examples of automotive androgyny on the streets today. At times, it looks incredibly masculine. Other times, it looks borderline sensual. Yet, the DB11 almost makes the outgoing DB9 look soft. Let's take the front of the DB11 for instance, which, if you let me tell it, looks like a marine iguana with its mouth open. Sure, you wouldn't open the hot girl at the bar with that line, but you gotta admit, the marine iguana's looks are pretty mesmerizing, and so are the looks of the front end of the DB11. The way the front wheel arches and fender gills come together give the very blatant visual impression of a comet streaking across the sky. Except in this case, the comet is the 20-inch wheels and 2-piece steel ventilated disc and 6-piston calipers. The profile of the DB11 really makes the floating roofline really stand out. Personally, I prefer the roofline to be the same color as the car, as is the case with this car, which is Skyfall Silver. The window lines remind me of the cat eye makeup all the women are doing these days. I say that flippantly, but trust, I think it's sexy as hell, and window lines of the DB11 are no different. But by far, my favorite part of the DB11 is the rear end. However, this shouldn't shock you. There was a race joke somewhere in there. If I was going to explain the rear end of the DB11 in simple terms, Aston Martin hired a calligrapher and told him to draw lights on the back, and I love it. Squinty lights minimize the size of the rear end just enough to keep it from looking like the automotive rear end version of Black China and Nicki Minaj, and more like Beyonce and J-Lo. I love the way Aston integrated the exhaust pipes into the design of the car as well, while the perforations remind you that attention to detail was extremely high on the priority list. Now let's talk about this interior. I don't think anyone in the automotive game does interiors better than Aston Martin. Understand that there are no words that I'm going to say in this video that's going to be able to capture the feelings you get sitting inside of the DB11, but I'm going to try anyway. Remember, in my mind, I think I'm Batman, so if the interior isn't black, I don't want it. But there is something to be said about the sense of occasion and specialness that the interior of this particular DB11 evokes. It's like sitting in a red velvet cupcake. Now, would I ever buy it with this color interior? Hell no. But I'd never marry a girl like Rihanna, but I damn sure would spend the weekend with her. The level of detail in the DB11's interior is mind-blowing, almost unnecessary. Most people tend to undervalue how important the seats in a car are. In the DB11, the seats could literally take the place of the Herman Miller Eames chair I have sitting in my living room. As for the center stack, I'm a bit torn. I loved the waterfall cascade center console of the old Aston Martins. I felt they added more emotion to the experience. The center dash of the DB11 is effortlessly functional, and that's a little bit of a problem. I don't think cars like Aston Martin should be effortlessly functional. That's what Ford Focuses are for. Look, I'm gonna be honest. The only reason I like the digital dash on the DB11 is because Future and Drake made an entire song about it. Okay, I like it for other reasons also, but the metallic analog dash of the older Astons were glorious. They were like pieces of jewelry. I'm obsessed with instant information, so the digital dash on a DB11 works great in that regard. But I feel like digital anything feels less organic. At this point, I'm starting to realize I'm sounding more and more like an automotive emo. But I'm just obsessed with the feels that cars give me, and ideally, I want every aspect of the car to contribute to those feels. However, what the digital dash loses in emo organicness is made up in the rest of the cabin. The beauty really is in the details. Interior door panels are drenched in leather, and where there isn't leather, there's metal. And where there's no metal, there's a part of your mother's granite countertop. Even the rear center speaker looks like a work of art. Only Aston can make an electronic sliding center console not seem gimmicky. Hell, even the seat adjustment knobs look like pieces of jewelry.
I filmed this entire video by myself, so I couldn't get much in the way of driving shots to talk about the driving experience. I guess I'll have to do a part 2 when I get another camera guy. However, I can say this. After driving the DB11 for a couple of days, I realized the days of Aston Martins being a weekend car or a second and third car are over. The DB11 has brought Aston Martin into a one-car, everyday driver world of cars, all the while maintaining enough of the old essence that made Aston Martin cars so special. The DB11 does it all. It's a cruiser, a street racer, and a seductive GT. I liked it initially, but on the third listen, I fell in love. Granted, it'd have to be a black on black DB11, because you know.
Batman!
The DB11 in this video was provided courtesy of Aston Martin Dallas. Be sure to follow them on Instagram at Aston Dallas or hit them up online at astonmartindallas.com. This is Coleon Noir, and I'm out.